everybody. Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee, my Congresswoman in California, is on MSNBC right now.
Let's bring in Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee of California. She's a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and being on the Budget Committee.
Oh, and look, see that yellow part, folks? She's got her Warriors shirt. She's going to the game. That's that yellow. Gotcha, Barbara.
And we'll appreciate people paying for their hotel rooms. Anyway, how do you see all this playing out on June 12th? What are your hopes and expectations?
I have always supported direct talks and diplomacy. And so, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic with regard to the at least beginning of a successful effort. But I have to tell you, one of the key elements of a positive outcome is that neither side should establish preconditions. And I'm extremely concerned about General Mattis now coming up with some of the preconditions that the United States would be setting, rather than allowing all of the issues that have to be discussed on both sides to be part of the negotiation.
All right. Concern duly noted. I want to go back to the president's meeting with the North Korean official in the Oval Office on Friday. The president telling reporters that human rights abuses not part of the discussion there at the White House. How big a deal was that? But then at the same time, are you not willing to consider that the issue has certainly come up in other talks and very likely could come up on June 12th?
Human rights issues should be a part of the negotiation, and in fact, the preparation for the negotiations should really at least allow the American people to understand what you know, makes sense for us to talk about in terms of human rights. But this in no way, I don't believe, should be, again, as General Mattis put out, part of a precondition, but we should say that human rights, yes, is on the table and would be part of the discussions.
What about this New York Times report, this 20-page letter that the president's legal team sent to Special Counsel Mueller back in January? Based on the arguments being made in this letter, do you see this ultimately going to the Supreme Court?
Well, I tell you, you don't know what to believe, and that's why, first of all, the Mueller investigation is so important. But secondly, no person is outside of the law. The rule of law must prevail, even with the president. The president is not exempt from following the law. And so that's why we need a system of checks and balances reinstituted in our country, because right now there are no checks on this president. And that's why these elections, quite frankly, are so important, because the American people want this president in check. Because we see each and every day something new taking place where they are trying to, I guess Giuliani said something about change their recollections, which to me means how they're going to come up with another reason to not tell the truth.
What about the Wall Street Journal, which is saying that officials are in early talks right now for a Trump-Putin summit, although no details on date or location, again, very early. So in fairness, Presidents Obama and Bush, they did meet with Putin. It happened in the first 6 months of each of their administrations. So wouldn't this president be following that precedent, despite the cloud of the Russia investigation over his head?
Well, again, I always support diplomacy rather than intimidation and talking about going to war. So that's a given. But I have to tell you, what would be the outcome, one of the issues that this country, the president, would want to talk to Putin about? This is not a PR, or it shouldn't be a PR gesture. It shouldn't be another part of a reality show. And so if he's going to engage in discussions with any leader around the world, especially dictators, we need to know what the United States plans to talk about and what the outcome and what our goals are. And quite frankly, I haven't heard that yet.
You know, all that we've been discussing, ma'am, these developments have overshadowed this week the very stunning report from Harvard, putting the estimate of the Hurricane Maria deaths in Puerto Rico at more than 4,600. You compare that to the government's estimate of 64. Shouldn't Congress be investigating why there is such a stark disparity in these reports?
We absolutely should do that. Once again, just as with Katrina, our government really abandoned people in their direst moment of need. It is really sad. It's so shameful, and my heart and prayers still go out to the people of Puerto Rico. This is something that we cannot ignore. our government should respond to American citizens wherever they live, whatever their race, whatever their income. This government did not do that as it relates to Puerto Rico, and we need a full investigation. But also, I have to say, this shows us the effects, unfortunately, of climate change and what is taking place now throughout the world, and we need to address that within the context of what is happening now to our planet. But we absolutely need to look at what took place and really come down very hard on this administration for abandoning the people of Puerto Rico and their most dire need.
Before I let you go, Congresswoman, I do want to get your take on a new report that finds of the 43 Democratic black women running as challengers for U.S. House seats, there's only one that has the backing of the party. What do you make of that, especially after all the criticism the party got in the aftermath of the 2016 election for appearing to neglect black voters, and particularly women?
But black women have been the backbone of the Democratic Party. We have been the most consistent, the most loyal, and the smartest voters, quite frankly. And so there are many of us who have been working to try to make sure that we elect more African-American women throughout the country at every level. For example, we have Stacey Abrams, phenomenal candidate running for governor in Georgia. Yep. We have Lauren Underwood, phenomenal congressional candidate in Illinois. And London Green, an African-American woman running for mayor of San Francisco. And so, as an African-American woman, I have to just say I am supporting as many African-American women for Congress as possible. And I'm sure that our Democratic Party will recognize, especially after we really helped elect Doug Jones to the United States Senate, that African-American women deserve the backing, and they deserve the support, and African-American women can lead, and we are leading the Democratic Party and leading this country into a new day.
California Democratic Congresswoman Barbara Lee, thank you so much for your time. It's always good to talk with you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Coming up next, how President Trump's battle against Robert Mueller could play out.
So, there it is, folks. That's, excuse me for a second. There we go. That's Congresswoman Barbara Lee primarily talking about the upcoming summit between the United States and North Korea on June 12th. Subscribe to Zenny62 for more.